The prophet continued, "I will briefly tell you about our happiness here, for ages spent on this delightful theme would only begin to explain it. That you may have the best understanding, I will first explain about what the redeemed souls have been delivered from, and secondly, about the happiness that they enjoy here. Firstly, the souls of all the blessed are forever freed from everything that can make them miserable, which above all is sin. It was sin that brought misery into creation. The blessed God at first made all things happy like himself. Had not sin defaced the beauty of his workmanship, angels and men would never have known what is meant by misery. It is sin that threw the apostate angels down into hell and spoiled the beauty of a lower world. It was sin that defaced God's image in man's soul and made the ones who were made to be lords of creation into slaves of their own lust. It is sin which can also plunge them into an ocean of eternal misery from which there is no redemption. It is an invaluable mercy that is in this happy place. All the saints are forever freed from sin through the blood of the Redeemer. In the earth below, the best and holiest of souls groan under the burden of corruption. Sin tries to cling to all that they do, and often leads them captive against their will. "Who shall deliver me?" has been the cry of many of God's faithful servants, who at the same time have been dear to Jesus. Sin is the heavy weight upon the saints while they live in their corrupted flesh. Therefore, when they lay their bodies down, their souls are like a bird loosed from its cage, and with a heavenly joy they rise up to heaven. But here their warfare is at an end, and death is swallowed up in victory. Below, their souls were deformed and stained by sin, but here their bright souls, by the ever-blessed Jesus, are presented to the Father without spot or wrinkle. Not only are the saints here free from sin, but also from any temptation to sin. When Adam was in paradise, though he was innocent and free from sin, yet he was not free from temptation. Satan got into paradise, and Adam fatally yielded to his temptations. Like a disease, sin has eaten into the human nature and corrupted all mankind. Here each soul is free from this. Nothing but what is pure and holy can find admission here. That roaring lion which roams back and forth throughout the earth, seeking whom he may devour in respect to the saints in heaven, is bound fast in everlasting chains. The temptations of the world shall never again allure those who through faith and patience have overcome it and have safely arrived here. In heaven we look with contempt on all earthly enjoyments. There is nothing here that can disturb our peace, but an eternal calm crowns all our happiness. Since we are freed from sin and all its effects, we are also rescued from punishment. After death, hell confines the sinner to eternal misery, yet the blessed are delivered from all these things. However, these things are the least part of our happiness in heaven. Our joys are positive, more than just the negative we have just been redeemed from. What these are, I shall try to show you. Here we enjoy the sight of God, the blessed spring and eternal source of all our happiness. But what this is, I can no fully explain than can finite creatures comprehend infinity. But here love is perfect, and perfect love casts out fear. In heaven we love God more than ourselves, and one another like ourselves. Here we enjoy the perfection of all grace. In heaven our understanding and knowledge is enlarged according to the greatness of what we can observe and think. In the world below, light could only shine into our minds through the window of our senses, so God had to condescend to our limited capacities when revealing His majesty. Our purest ideas of God were very imperfect, but here the gold is separated from the dross, and we can conceive the simplicity and purity of God. We understand about His decrees and counsels, His providence and dispensations. We clearly see here that from eternity God was sole existing, but not solitary, that the Godhead is neither confused in unity nor divided in number. We see that there is a priority of order, but no superiority among the persons of the Trinity, but that they equally have the same excellence and power, and equally are adored. Those ways of God that in the world below seem unsearchable and beyond our comprehension, we understand so clearly here by His divine wisdom, that the truth could not be made more simple. These are some of the things that make our souls happy. However, the happiness of the saints in heaven will not be complete until their bodies are resurrected and united with their souls. I will therefore show you what the resurrection bodies shall be like. First, the resurrection bodies of the blessed will be spiritual bodies like mine. You may better understand this not only by seeing, but by touch. After saying this, the holy prophet was pleased to give me his hand. They will be bodies that are purified from all corruption, yet have substance. They will not be like wind or air, as people on earth sometimes foolishly imagine. Then I said to him that I always understood spiritual as the opposite of material, so I thought that a spiritual body must be immaterial and not capable of being touched or felt, as I found his hand was. To this the prophet replied that their bodies were spiritual, but only because they were purified from all corruption. But as they were sustained by the enjoyment of God without needing food, drink, or sleep, beholding the Lord is what support both their souls and their bodies, and is what they live upon forever. Have you not read, said the prophet, that the blessed Jesus, after his resurrection, appeared in his body to his disciples when they met together in a chamber and the doors shut about them? And yet he called to Thomas to come and reach forth his hand and thrust it into his side, which shows it had substance. Our bodies in the resurrection shall be immortal and incapable of dying. Below their bodies are all mortal, perishing, and subject to crumbling into dust at any time. But here our bodies will be incorruptible, and freed from death forever. For our corruption here shall put on incorruption, and our mortality will be swallowed up of life. Here I desired the prophet to bear with me a little, while I gave him an account of my own ideas about these matters. Speak, for I am ready to remove your doubt, he said. I have learned, I said, in the Holy Scriptures, that immortality belongs to God only, and not to men. Daily experience tells us that bodies of men are mortal and die. Therefore Paul told Timothy that God only has immortality. When I say that the bodies of the blessed here are immortal, I am speaking about the bodies in their resurrected state, that they are subject to death no more. Man in his incorruptible state is mortal and subject to death, and there is nothing more evident to all that dwell in the world below. Even the bodies of all these glorified souls that are here in heaven are at this time still kept under the power of death. At the resurrection day, when they shall be raised up again, they shall then be immortal. As to what you say from the Scriptures, that the blessed God has only immortality, it is very true. He is essentially in his own being and nature. There is no angel or man that can, in that strict sense, be said to be so. We are immortal through his grace and favor, but God is immortal in his essence, and has been so from all eternity. In that sense he may well be said to have immortality. Whatever the blessed God is, he is essentially so in his own being. It can likewise be said that only he is holy, and there is none good but God, none righteous, nor none merciful but he.